We were cutting cake for my daughter Lena's newborn when her phone pinged. DNA results are in, she laughed, until she didn't. On the screen, no grandparent match detected. I told her it was a glitch. We repeated the test. Twice. Same verdict. I sat at my kitchen table that night with her hospital bracelet, the discharge photo, the tiny paper cap. 20 years ago, a nurse rolled a bassinet to my bed. I was groggy. I trusted the tag. I trusted the hospital. The test said I shouldn't. Before we continue, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, from which part of the world are you listening to this amazing story? By morning, one truth remained. Someone sent me home with the wrong baby. My name is Grace, and at 65, I thought I'd already taken life's hardest punches. I raised my daughter, Lena, mostly on my own after her father, David, died young. We lived in a small blue house at the edge of town where the mailman knew our birthdays and the kettle whistled like an old friend. I taught 3rd grade until my knees complained, then tutored reading at the library. It wasn't glamorous, but it was enough. A steady roof, a few good recipes, and one bright girl who filled the rooms with laughter and open windows. Lena grew into the kind of woman who remembers birthdays and buys the card 2 weeks early. She married a gentle soul named Max who fixes sinks without being asked and never leaves the porch light off when someone's on the road. When she told me she was pregnant, I dug her baby quilt from the cedar chest, the one I sewed the summer after she was born, little yellow stars crooked as my early stitches. We spent soft afternoons planning names, arguing about crib colors and practicing with a car seat that hissed like an angry cat whenever we tightened the straps. Our family rhythm was simple. Sunday lunches with too much lemonade, evening walks with Max carrying the heavy grocery bag even when it only held bread, and me saving coupons like it was sport. On Lena's due date, I packed a small hospital bag for myself, snacks, charger, the quilt, because no one keeps a grandmother out of the waiting room. St. Bridget's Hospital sat on the hill like a beige ship. I remembered those corridors from decades ago, the disinfectant smell, the way night nurses spoke in careful whispers. Back then, the maternity ward felt like the safest room on earth. I trusted the tags. I trusted the bracelets. I trusted the warm, brisk competence that makes you feel foolish for asking extra questions. Of all the things I expected to meet me at that hill, the moon, the sleepless hours, the first cry, doubt was not one of them. Lena's labor was long, the way some winters are. Quiet at first, then suddenly all wind. Max paced the hall, counting ceiling tiles. I brought ice chips and stories, the old-fashioned kind you tell to buy time. When the baby finally arrived, rosy, cross, furious at his first air, we all cried. A nurse with a sunflower pin clipped a bracelet to his ankle and printed a matching band for Lena. Routine, comforting, familiar. But the little things began even then. Small pebbles you don't notice in your shoe until the blister. The nurse who wheeled the bassinet back from the first pediatric check looked at the name card and hesitated. "Baby? Carter?" she read, glancing at us. Max corrected her gently. "We're Evans." She smiled, apologized, tucked the card. Tiny, harmless, already forgotten by the next contraction of life. 2 days later, Lena called from home. The discharge photo printouts from the hospital portal showed the wrong timestamp, off by almost 2 hours. "They must have mixed files," she said, trying to laugh. But she clicked through every image like someone trying doors in a hallway. The next week, the pediatrician mentioned the baby's blood type, AB. "Like Max," I said. "And you, Lena?" She didn't know offhand, so we checked an old note in her phone from a college physical. O. I remembered our high school biology lesson where I used to tell my students that certain combinations were unlikely. It meant nothing, I told myself. There are exceptions, alleles I'd barely remember now. Still, the pebble pressed. When the baby was a month old, Lena's friend gifted her a mail-in DNA kit. "For the baby book," she said. "It maps the family tree." It sat unopened on a shelf by the flour and sugar. One rainy Saturday, while Max scrubbed bottles and I folded laundry, Lena swabbed his tiny cheek and joked about discovering Viking ancestors. We mailed it. We forgot it. Life once again resumed its normal breathing. If there was a hinge creaking on some invisible door, none of us turned our heads yet. We were busy being ordinary, and ordinary is loud enough to drown a whisper. The email pinged during a Sunday lunch, roast chicken, green beans, the kind of meal that says life is predictable and warm. Lena opened it with one hand while bouncing the baby with the other. Her face changed before the screen refreshed. The baby fussed harder, as if he could feel the floor tilt. "No grandparent match detected," she read aloud, then quietly. "What does that even mean?" "It means their database is spotty," I said too fast. "These kits get things wrong all the time." I reached for my glasses and my calm voice like a pair of tools. We ordered a second kit from a different company, then a third for good measure. Numbers would save us. Numbers don't lie. They didn't. 3 tests, 3 versions of the same unkind sentence. Lena's son did not share my DNA. Max tried to explain. Perhaps I was matched lower because of age, because of something technical. The baby slept, deceitfully peaceful, while algorithms burned our kitchen down. That night, I pulled a shoebox from the top of my closet, the hospital keepsake hat, the tiny ankle bracelet with a number that meant nothing to me now, the Polaroid of a nurse whose name I never learned. I said St. Bridget's out loud and tasted metal. Monday morning, Lena called medical records. A polite woman promised to email scans of the old paperwork. I drove to St. Bridget's instead because some conversations need floors you remember. The maternity wing had moved to a new tower, all glass and silence. The clerk was new, the computers new, the policies unhelpful. "Records older than 10 years are archived," she said. "Requests by mail." On my way out, I passed the old wing, now a storage corridor. The paint remembered the color of my fear. A maintenance man held a door for me, and the smell of disinfectant yanked me 20 years backward. The night a nurse rolled a bassinet to my bed. The tag I didn't read closely because my daughter's cry overruled every other sound. By the time I reached my car, the whisper wasn't a whisper anymore. It was a siren. What if the baby I carried home wasn't mine? Grief has a shape. I recognized it the week the tests came back. It was the shape of Lena's shoulders, pulled up to her ears as if she could hide inside them. It was Max's careful cheer, the kind you use around a wound you can't bandage. It was the baby, our baby, sleeping like innocents while the adults stopped breathing. We started talking in the conditional. If this is a mistake, if we need more proof, if the hospital mixed labels, every sentence had a trapdoor. I called St. Bridget's again. An office manager named Cole phoned me back, voice smooth as laminate. "Mrs. Evans," he said, using my late husband's name like talc, "we have no record of irregularities in your daughter's delivery." When I pressed, he slipped behind policy. "For privacy reasons, we can't discuss other patients who delivered that night." "I'm not asking about other patients," I said. "I'm asking about my family." He thanked me for my concern, promised an internal review, and hung up with the soft click of someone who'd practiced. Small oddities crowded in. Lena found a newborn footprint card in her memory box, 2 faint smudges that didn't match the hospital's scanned copy. Max remembered a nurse mixing up wristbands during shift change, then laughing it off. I told myself it was nothing until I woke at 3 a.m., certain I'd heard a bassinet wheel over tile. The house learned a new quiet. Lena spoke to me like a student trying to be brave. "Mom, what if—" She didn't finish. I touched her cheek. "Whatever truth we find, you're his mother," I said, the sentence steady while the floor tilted. At the library, the regulars asked about the baby. "He looks like his dad," someone said. I heard myself answer, yes, and felt disloyal to a truth I didn't yet possess. That night, I wrote 2 lists: things we know and things we only think. The first was short. The second was a rainstorm. At the bottom, I added one line that hurt to see in my hand: if there was a switch, there is another family. What were they told? When facts hide, look for witnesses. I started with the nurse who clipped Lena's band. The sunflower pin in the discharge photo gave her away. Her name was Ana Ruiz, retired now, living in a small house with wind chimes that refused to be quiet. She let me in, eyed the file folder I carried like a casserole. I told her everything in one breath. Anna listened without moving, then closed her eyes. That week, she said, we were short-staffed. 2 births came in back to back. The power flickered. Our label printer jammed. She rubbed a spot on her wrist. I remember a charge nurse, heart snapping. Just handwrite the tags. We'll reprint later. I hated reprinting. It's where mistakes breed. She couldn't swear to a switch. No honest nurse would. But she gave me 3 details that felt like map pins: a temporary tag number, the name of the tech who ran footprints, and the time a transport cart went missing for 12 minutes. The tech, Deshawn, now worked nights at a clinic. He remembered too much. Old St. Bridget's, he said, looking at the photocopy of Lena's footprint. We were supposed to stamp in pairs, mother and child, same ink pad, consecutive codes. If the database shows non-consecutive codes, somebody mixed sequence. He scribbled a number. Ask records for batch 7-219. Records resisted until Max, polite as always, asked for an audit letter, just so we can explain to our pediatrician. A junior clerk slipped and sent the log. Batch 7-219 had 4 prints recorded that hour. The sequence skipped. The mother codes didn't align with the baby's. A zipper misthreaded. I drove back to the hospital. Mr. Cole kept his smile but lost his patience. Mrs. Evans, internet kits cause panic. Please don't escalate. I set the printouts on his desk along with the batch log and Anna's note. His eyes changed the way a window does when a storm hits it. We will review, he said, and this time the phone didn't click so gently. That night, a message arrived from an unknown number. You came to see Miss Ruiz. I was on that floor too. Call me. The name was short and clean. Nora. My hands shook dialing. Her first sentence stripped the room of air. My son has your daughter's eyes. We met at a diner halfway between our houses, where the coffee came in thick mugs and the waitress called everyone Hon. Nora was my age, but carried herself like someone who'd learned not to expect apologies. She slid 2 photos across the table, her son as a toddler, then at 20. An ache went through me so sharp it felt like history cutting. The boy could have been Lena at 5 if you squinted. The same almond eyes, the same stubborn mouth. We compared timelines. She delivered an hour after Lena. Her chart showed temporary handwritten tags, reprinted for clarity. Her boy's blood type? O. Her mother's? A B? The math that had hounded our kitchen turned and stared at hers. What do we do? Nora asked, both palms flat like she was holding the table down. Truth first, I said. Kindness alongside it. Kindness didn't mean weakness. We made a plan like teachers crafting a lesson no one could ignore. Step 1, independent DNA testing. Us, the children, and, with care, the young men they might be. Step 2, secure our records. Scans, batch logs, anything with ink. Step 3, bring counsel who knew how hospitals listened, quietly in boardrooms, when risk was spelled with dollar signs. I called a lawyer I trusted from church, Mr. Pike, balding, precise, allergic to grandstanding. He recommended a medical malpractice firm who preferred truth to headlines. They arranged a meeting with St. Bridget's to review concerns prior to filing. Ms. Hart, the former charge nurse turned risk manager, would attend. So would Mr. Cole. So would the hospital's counsel. Bring calm, Pike advised. Bring proof. Bring someone who cannot be intimidated. I brought Ana Ruiz. Before we left the diner, Nora touched my sleeve. If he isn't mine by blood, she said, voice breaking, he's still mine. I nodded. They don't get to erase love. We're not here to trade sons like books. We're here to name what happened and keep them from doing it again. Outside, the wind pushed cold. Inside my coat pocket, I felt the thin edge of the footprint card and the thicker edge of resolve. We walked into St. Bridget's conference room like a small weather front. Nora and I, shoulder to shoulder, Ana Ruiz with her sunflower pin, Mr. Pike calm as a metronome. The room smelled like lemon polish and denial. On the far side sat Mr. Cole, the hospital's counsel, Ms. Tran, and standing by the window with arms folded, Ms. Hart, the charge nurse turned risk manager whose name had threaded through every bad hour. Ms. Tran opened with rehearsed warmth. "Thank you for coming. We understand you have concerns." She said concerns the way you'd say squeaky hinge. Mr. Pike set a slim folder on the table. "We have facts." He nodded to me. I slid out the pieces one by one, letting the paper make its quiet sounds. "Batch log 7-219, I said. 4 infant prints recorded. Sequence misaligned. I placed the log where the sunlight could find it. Temporary tags, handwritten, reprinted later. Anna's note followed, her neat script describing a printer jam, a flicker, a rush to reprint, Deshawn's statement about consecutive coding, the email from records that should never have been sent, then 2 envelopes, independent DNA results, ours and Nora's. Miss Tran glanced at the logos on the lab reports and sat straighter. Mr. Cole tried to step between us and the obvious. "With respect, at-home kits—" "These are not at-home kits," Mr. Pike said, a fingertip on the seal. "Chain of custody tests from 2 accredited labs. Mother-child, mother-child. Cross-matched." Twice I tapped the first report. "My daughter Lena and I do not share a maternal line with the grandson in our house." I tapped the second. "Nora and her son do, and the inverse is true with Lena and Nora's newborn granddaughter. The math finally adds." For a long beat, only the HVAC spoke. Ms. Hart, who had said nothing, looked at Anna. "You weren't in charge of reprints." Anna didn't flinch. "You were." Ms. Tran reached for a safer shore. "Even if a label error occurred, protocols have improved. We are deeply sorry for the distress, but the statute—" Mr. Pike didn't raise his voice. "You will not begin with deadlines and end with condolences. You will begin with the truth," he turned to me. "Grace?" I slid a final page across. The transport log. A bassinet left the nursery at 3:14 and returned at 3:26 with no attending signature. 12 minutes, I looked at Miss Hart. That's a long time for a newborn to be nobody's. Something in her posture loosened, like a belt unbuckled after too much holding in. "We were drowning that night," she said. 2 codes on the floor, a resident crying in the stairwell. I told them to reprint after. I thought it would be clean. "It wasn't," Nora said evenly. She took out a photo, the one of her son at 2 with cake on his face. She set it between us like a candle. "Your clean took 20 years. Ms. Tran exhaled. "We can construct a corrective process and an apology protocol. The board will expect—" "No NDAs, I said. No money for silence. We will not sell our names back to you." Mr. Pike slid a pre-drafted letter across to Ms. Tran. "Here is what we require. Full written admission of the specific errors, a formal apology delivered to both families, lifetime coverage for counseling for all affected, an independent audit of your perinatal identification procedures, and a policy mandating immediate mother-child DNA verification whenever reprinting occurs, past or future. You will also notify every mother whose tags were reprinted that week. And if we don't agree to the last item?" Ms. Tran asked. Nora answered, "Then you can tell the state why you prefer not to look." Miss Hart closed her eyes. When she opened them, she looked older and more human. "We have to look," she said quietly, "to Ms. Tran more than to us. We have to fix what we broke." Mr. Cole rubbed his forehead, the fight gone. "We'll bring this to the board today." "Bring your faces too," I said, "not just signatures." No one argued. Outside the windows, afternoon thunderheads stacked like witnesses. Inside, the room felt like the moment before rain, heavy, electric, unavoidable. The apology happened a week later in a smaller room without lemon polish, with tissue boxes already open. The board chair was there, and Ms. Tran and Ms. Hart in a plain sweater that made her look less like a policy and more like a person. Anna sat between Nora and me, sunflower pin, bright as a warning not to forget. The chair began. "On the night of August 12th, 20 years ago, St. Bridget's failed you. Our procedures failed you. We reprinted identity bands without dual verification and did not reconcile a transport gap. 2 infants were discharged to the wrong families." She looked at us without blinking. "We accept responsibility." Ms. Hart stood. Her hands were empty, no clipboard to hide behind. "I'm sorry," she said, the words uncluttered. "I thought I could fix a mess after the emergency. I created a worse one. If you need to hate me, I will understand." Nora's jaw worked. I heard her swallow her oldest grief and decide not to feed it today. "I need you to fix the system," she said. "Hate won't raise my son." They outlined the changes. Immediate DNA verification if any reprint occurred. 2-person sign-off on every band. A barcode system that screamed if sequence misaligned, and letters to every family touched by batch 7-219. They offered counseling, paid time, travel stipends for meetings we chose to have, or not. Then came the part no policy could script: the children. We had agreed on the boundaries like we were building a garden. Fences first, then paths. No cameras, no pressure, no expectations beyond hello. Lena would meet Nora's son, Evan, in a separate room with a counselor. Max would join if Evan wanted. Later, if and when, Evan might meet the baby who had landed in our arms by love and mistake. We would walk by feel, not by rules. While they met, I sat with Nora on a bench beneath a wall of old baby photos. Strangers with identical pink hats, everyone once small enough to fit inside one breath. Nora held the photo of Evan at 2 like a relic. "What if today hurts him?" she asked. "It might," I said. "And it might also make something inside him stop wondering what it's been wondering without words." We didn't hear voices through the wall, only the murmur of air. 20 minutes stretched. 30. When the door finally opened, Lena came out first, eyes red and shining. She nodded once. Not yes, not no, just here. Evan followed, taller than Max, with a look I recognized from graduation days and funerals both. The look of a person who just learned a new word for himself. He stepped toward Nora, stopped, stepped again. "I don't know what to call you," he said, honest as rain. "You can call me Nora," she said then, softer, "or you can call me nothing at all today." He nodded, relief loosening his shoulders. He turned to me next, searching my face for something I hoped he could find. "You're Lena's mom," he said, like it helped him fix the map. "I am," I said, "and I'm sorry this happened to you." "Me too," he said, and a quick, crooked smile flashed, the same one in the cake photo. He handed me a folded paper. I wrote down questions. "For later." "Later is good," I said, tucking the list into my pocket like a seed. On the drive home, the sky finally let go of the rain it had been holding. Wipers beat time while Lena stared out the window, her cheek against the cool glass. "He laughs like me," she said, wonder and sorrow braided together. "And not like me at all." "You get to have both," I said. "No one can make you choose." That night, Nora texted a single line. "He asked for coffee next week." A minute later, another. "He wants you there." I set the phone down and let myself cry. Quiet, grateful tears that had room for anger without drowning in it. Justice hadn't felt like a gavel. It had felt like a door unlocking on a hallway we would now walk with care. Before sleep, I stood in my kitchen and wrote 2 new lists. Things we know was longer now. An admission, a plan, a boy's smile, a baby's soft breath. Things we only think had shrunk enough that I could fold it once and put it away. On the bottom of Things We Know, I added one more line, the one that made my hand steady. Truth can't rewind a life, but it can stop the lie from driving. A week later, we met at a cafe that smelled like warm cinnamon and second chances. Evan came first, steady but shy. Lena brought photos. Nora carried a hospital blue notebook. We didn't try to fix 20 years. We drank coffee and agreed on slow. Boundaries were simple. No cameras, no pressure. Hello is enough. Tuesdays became counseling, Fridays porch talk, weekends the kind of ordinary that heals. Burnt omelets, swapped recipes, soft jokes in a group thread. St. Bridget's did more than apologize. Letters went to every family in batch 7-219. Any reprint now triggers immediate mother-child DNA, 2-person sign-off, and a barcode that screams if sequence slips. Lifetime counseling is covered. Ms. Hart asked to move into training. She teaches new nurses why "we'll clean it later" breaks lives. Anna leads perinatal safety, sunflower pin bright as a promise. A scholarship in the names of the 2 infants funds more nurses to keep tags and families together. No NDAs, no hush money. The settlement lives in services, audits, and a signed admissions letter I keep in my drawer with the spare batteries. Holidays didn't merge, they braided. Thanksgiving with me and Lena, Christmas morning at Nora's. In between came mercies, Evan texting a lopsided pancake, Max asking Nora for chili tips, Lena and Evan laughing with the same surprised tilt of the head, and also not the same. We let both truths stand. What stayed with me were 5 lessons. Truth isn't a wrecking ball, it's a hallway light. It shows where to set down the tools. Love survives accurate labels. A DNA result adds context, not subtraction. Repair needs structure. Timelines, counselors, and written rules are warm rails when the landscape tilts. Accountability can be humane. Some face charges, others classrooms and mirrors. But all of it pointed forward. Go slow. Slow is honest. Slow sticks. If you're listening with paperwork in one hand and a shaking phone in the other, borrow our rules. Get everything in writing. Bring a witness who loves you enough to interrupt. Keep promises small and keep them often. Never let an institution define your capacity to love. When it hurts too much to talk, pass the bread, eat, then try again. Nothing was replaced. Everything was revealed. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.